Alright, so looks like everything went okay with the live stream. I just checked. It was just playing what we were doing in the game, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on with what we're working on here. Excuse me. So, real quick here, let me turn off this background here because it's super distracting and it actually bugs the UI out when I'm working on it. So, got that turned off, and we're going to go over here to our Ice Mob Merchant and get started. So, every ice mob needs a couple things depending on your setup. In our case, I've already added the store trigger because he's going to be a merchant that we can click on. And I've also added a UI element above his head so you can see that he's something you can interact with. Next, we have a couple basic things that every character needs for our game. In this case, it's going to be an RPC handler here. So let me just grab a couple of these items, and then we'll get right into the other. Yeah, see, this is this laggy ass system here. I don't know what creates all the lag. Let's see here. Copy component. And like I said, we'll just do the Blood Fiend actually. It's just a couple of things I need that aren't related to ice but are required for our game. Okay, and that's it. We don't need damage handlers. Nobody's going to be able to hurt these NPCs here. And we can even tag them as NPCs so that we know, in case we need to refer to this guy for anything. He doesn't need to be on any layer right now because we're not going to actually interface as far as, like I said, damage with this guy. With our other guy, with the other things, we have created layer masks for damage so that when we're using colliders for damage, it doesn't accidentally damage things that we don't want it to damage. So here we go now. The basics for setting up the ice creature. First, we need an animator. So we come into here and we're going to create an animator. I have a monitor on the other screen here that you can't see, but it's not really important. So we're going to create an animator. I've already created it here, and we're going to put it here. Alright, and then just go into your animator, and again, the beauty on the ice system is that your animations don't need to connect, they just need to be looped if they are something that you want to be looped. So, start with an idle animation, then we have a walk animation that we're going to use. We're going to want a run animation, so let's go over here to our animations. And it looks like, here we go, run. Alright, so we got a run. And this guy is not going to die, he's not going to take hits. All he's going to do is hang out and walk and run. So in that case, we actually don't need to set up any other animations. This is it. We do need to make sure that we're looped, and we like to set the loop transform to the feet there. And now we can see here the character running. Alright, it's a stiff run. I mean, I'll be honest, that's not the best run. I think the problem that we may have, though, is that I don't have a walk bound to this avatar, unfortunately. What I could possibly do here, let me just go ahead and grab this guy and grab his reference. And I could possibly change the avatar that it's using. So let's just take a quick little experiment there on that. here is the avatar. You can't actually see it, but here's the rig. Okay, so here we got our rig. We've got it set to humanoid, and it's got an avatar in it, and it probably has this robe skin to the animation. The problem is we don't have a walk on there right now. So let me just take a shot with this. What we're going to do is we're going to go into this run that we're looking at that we don't really like, and we're going to say, okay, so we want to copy it from a different avatar. In this case, we want to copy it from our avatar for our character. So let's put this in here and hit apply, and we got errors. Okay, so it's probably not going to open rig tabs, more details. Yeah, unfortunately it looks like mismatch. Yeah, which is kind of what I thought was going to happen, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway. So if you go to the animations here, you notice you can't see anything. That's because it's no good. It's done. It's broken. So let's go ahead and go back into here. And this guy is probably not going to do a whole lot of running anyway, so let's not worry about that too much. We'll go ahead and grab the original run. Let's grab the original avatar, and drop it in here. Bada boom, bada bing, and we're good to go. And now once again we can run just fine. So let's just not use that run too much until we figure something else out. In the meantime, we'll use this walk, and it's not as bad, so that'll work. Alright, so we have an animator set now on the rig. We need a couple other things real quick. We need a little capsule component, capsule collider, excuse me. And let's go ahead and take a look at the guy here. We're going to want it to be 2 units high. This is standard stuff, 0.3, and set it at 1 here. This is the standard like game character height here. It's 2 units. So we're good to go there. We got colliders. Everything's nice. We need a rigid body. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and copy the one that's on the Blood Fiend because it's exactly how I want it. I don't think it doesn't really matter that much because we're going to set it up in ice creature control anyway, but just kind of for consistency's sake and so I can show you what it's set as. So we got a rigid body here, and all we've done, let's go ahead and open it up, is we've set some stops here on the freeze rotation. That's it, and we're using gravity. Okay, and I've got a mass set to 10. That's kind of something we're still experimenting with. So there we go, capsule collider, rigid body, animator. These are the basics so that we can get the character moving around. We've already added the RPC stuff. So next what we're going to do is add the ice creature control. This is possible through the Ice Wizard. Super nice and convenient here. We can go to creature. You need to dock it because there's a bug on the UI. If you don't, you won't get the button on the bottom. Just in case that happened to you and you didn't know why. So creature here, and now we've dropped him in, and it's just a prefab that we've been setting up since the beginning, as you saw. And we're going to set the traffic level. It doesn't really matter for him because he's not going to have he's not going to do any kind of damage or anything like that. So in body orientation to default. Right now with ice there is a bug with certain body orientations, and we're not sure when the update's going to come out. So better to just set to default, which works perfect. And then running is going to be 4, walking is going to be 1.75. That seems to be kind of a universal good starting place. For speed, the reason why we're setting this is our animations don't have root motion. If you had root motion, you wouldn't have to set a speed or anything like this because your animations already have the motion in them. In this case, these are static animations, so we set motion speed, and this would be the force it's applying at like a speed, velocity, whatever, with the rigid body to make the character move. You set the time to be kind of, basically looking right to the animation. It's something you play with. You don't want your character to look like they're sliding around on the terrain. Okay, so now desired animations. Let's go ahead and set those. Our idle is the idle, our walk is the walk, and our run is the run. On a normal ice creature, if you wanted them to attack and die and have impact, then you would go ahead and enable these other ones here and set them to the appropriate animations. Usually you would then have the attack, the impact, and the death animations. In this case, he's just a wandering merchant. I don't want anybody to be able to kill him, so we're not going to have that kind of stuff. Last, we're going to hit generate. Then we're done with the ice wizard, because now our ice creature has its components and we're good to go. Now, as I said earlier, we created prefab, so let's just hit apply, and we're going to keep doing that as we work on him. We're also going to turn off apply root motion on the animator. By default, it seems like it comes checked, and we don't need that, so we turn that off. Alright, now our game is multiplayer, so there's a last little thing you need to do with ice, and this is another little thing that ice did. If you are working on a multiplayer game as well, there's another good reason to try ice. Even though it's a little bit difficult to use and to set up, and it does have some bugs, it's also very robust. So let's go into ice integration. We're going to go to networking, and we're going to say add networking adapters. Bada boom, bada bing. We now have the ice world network view. This is the start of everything. It's going to do everything we need. We're going to hit photon view, and then we're going to click off. There seems to be sometimes a bug that happens. I don't know. And then, yeah, here it comes. So let's give this a second to think about what it's doing, because usually I have to roll through these, and then it's going to do a little freak out. There we go. Not sure what that's all about, but then I always clear and just roll through it again. And we're good to go. We have everything set up. That's our networking. Your networking's done. Now he's going to spawn, network spawn. Now, I'll quickly just go over a couple of the basics like we did on the last live stream, just as kind of for people who are new to the ice system in Unity and are trying to use this plugin. So, we'd say we're going to use coroutines, we're going to use hierarchy management, and we're going to use culling options. This makes sure that this entity stays within this range of the main camera. This is a great optimization. Make sure you set this. It's excellent. Alright, we're going to go to body parts, but we don't need body parts. So we're not going to go to body parts. We're going to motion pathfinding. You're going to set to, depending on your needs. For us, we say rigid body. This doesn't require nav mesh. It's beautiful. We have a procedurally generated environment that's smooth voxels, so we can't use nav mesh. We're going to ignore root motion. We're going to set gravity. Body orientation is default, and we're going to ray cast. We've already set this stuff up in the creature register, so every time you create a creature, if you have this set the creature register, it'll already be set in your new creatures. Allow auto area moves. We're going to go with obstacle avoidance and overlap prevention. Obstacle avoidance, this is for layers. These are the things that you don't want creatures running into in your environment or your game. This is what I was talking about earlier. Unfortunately, we raycast to chunk, which is our terrain, which means we can't avoid that in the avoid layer. So we're going to have to try to kind of play around with how to make that work the best, but because as you saw, sometimes pieces of the new voxel terrain as you create it get in the way of the creatures. So then we have overlap prevention. You're going to set that to initially sphere. You're going to hit avoid so that those options are enabled. We turn the avoid speed multiplier to 1, and then I'll say auto. What auto does is it reads your actual existing capsule collider and will set it to the same size. Usually you just got to tweak it here. You got to set it, change the position on the center, and I also like to reduce the size of the collider, but just a teeny little bit, because it seems like it conflicts with the other collider when it comes to combat, and the creatures turn to the side as they try to hit you. So that seems to be what fixes that. We're also going to enable deadlock prevention. Super important. This is what helps it so that we don't just keep standing in place when we get stuck. We're going to say update, and that makes it grab a new position. Alright, so this is what makes it so that our character can walk around the forest and not just walk into trees when they get in the way. They will actually see the tree and then turn a little bit to avoid the obstacle. So that's really nice, and that's now done. Default behaviors always have to be set up on your characters. Initially when you use the wizard, it'll set a couple of them, and then you go in here and kind of just tweak it out. So here we're going to set the spawn as well. We don't have a recovery phase, and we're going to set the spawn. And in the behavior for spawn, I'll flip over here real quick. We'll just make sure we have an animation set. In this case, it's the unarmed idol. So he's just going to look around and do that whenever we spawn. And those are the only ones we really need to set. The rest of them we're going to leave because we don't do combat with this actual AI entity. Alright, so here's one of another one of the super important things you need to set up. We didn't really go over this on the lizard guy. This is your home location. You need to make sure this is valid, or your character will just stand in place when they spawn in. Here we've actually just selected tag and wood, because in our game the trees are added procedurally to the environment, and we've tagged them all with wood. So it makes a great waypoint system for that to use as a home location. So we don't have to set a priority or any of these other things, because this is really just a basic wandering deal. We are going to set stopping distance and a random position, because we can't get directly inside trees. There are actually 2 to 4 units wide, so we need to have a few units outside of it as our stopping position. If you don't set that right, your character will freak out. So make sure you get that. You get the specifics there. Don't let it set to the default of 2 units. It's not enough. Okay, so now they have the creature behavior for the basic home location. It's going to run to range of home and then walk around it and eventually stop, and then walk around it some more. Okay, so we've got some basic essentials. We got our essentials area taken care of, and our networking. We need to set up just a few more things for this AI entity. This is just a dumb entity, right? So let's make sure in the behaviors our animations are correct. Walk is walk, run is run, and idle is idle. Those are the only ones we're using. The next thing we need is a mission. A mission is something to do. We need something else besides just our home location. I mean, you don't, but you kind of do. So we set up a patrol mission here. We're going to enable it and then set our behaviors. We're going to run to the location, and then we're going to kind of walk around. We're going to set a pause time. And in that pause time, we're just going to walk, and then our rendezvous, when we get there, we're going to idle. Okay, and then we want to set 2 waypoints. We're going to set it to random and add 2 waypoints. Boom, boom. Good to go. Not really, though, because we still got to set them up. So let's go in here, enable, target. Once again, just like your home location, you want to use tags. This way it can be dynamically found. We're going to set it to wood, and we don't need a selection angle, but we do want a range. We want to make sure we find something that's within our culling range. Now remember, we got about a 200 unit culling range around the camera. So we're going to set our selection range to about 60 units out. It needs to find something 60 units out for its waypoint. That's what we're doing here. We don't need to set any kind of other priorities here, because we don't really need to make sure we can see the waypoint or anything like that. We just need to be able to find it in a range. We're going to set our stopping distance of 8 and a random position around that, and change it when you're activated or reached. Okay, and then all you need to do is do it again on this waypoint, second waypoint. Once again, we're going to set the tag. You're going to select your tag and set it to wood. We are going to select our range and set it to 60 to again make sure we're selecting a target that is within the culling distance. And then we're going to stop. We're going to set our stopping distance at 8, and it's a random position of 10. And activate and reached. And booyah! Now we have all we need to make him do some kind of random walk around on the terrain deal, right? Now we're going to set a priority, a low priority on this mission to 10. This makes it so this will take place over the home mission, which is just to find that one tree and hang out at it, right? So at least this has like a kind of random go here type of thing going on. And lastly, we want to make sure that our merchant doesn't walk away when we actually go to talk to him and buy stuff from him, right? So we need an interactor. We need an interactor for our merchant and for our player, so that he knows, hey, when the player comes in range, just chill. Don't go walking around and taking off while we're trying to buy stuff, right? Okay, so we're going to say player is our target. That's our tag. And we're going to have a target selection range. We don't need an angle. We don't need to be able to see the player to stop for the player and chill. All right, so our selection range is going to be 10. All right, and then we're going to make this high priority, 80. This means that no matter what, this is the top thing to do if this event is happening. And in this case, this event will say true if something with the tag of player comes within 10 units of this character. All right. So next we're going to say target move specification, and here's the deal. We are actually going to we don't want to move, right? We don't want to move at all. So we're going to say last known position, which is the character, right? But check it out. We're going to set it to the same stopping distance as the range. All right. So now this means that I hope, and I don't think he'll walk backwards. So this is a test. I was playing with this before, so I think this is right. As long as we don't say ban, it won't ban the area inside the 10 unit circle. If I was to say ban, what it does is it makes it so everything 10 units within that space can't be entered. And he can't enter 10 units of that space of the target, right? It's like kind of like the no-go, whatever, invisible force field thing. So let's just set that to 10 range and 10 stopping distance. And the theory here is that when a player comes within 10 units, he's just going to stop because he's got nothing else to do. And also, we're going to go to the idle behavior. So this also makes sure that there's no like walking, there's nothing. We're just going to idle. So when the character gets out of that 10 unit range, this priority will no longer matter, and he will go back to the patrol mission because we have a priority of 10 set here. So that becomes the next priority. So now we have our, it looks like we have all the basics set. We're not going to set up dynamic vital signs. We're not going to set up health. We're not setting up inventory or any of this stuff right now. We don't need memory. We don't need any of that stuff because we're actually going to spawn him in at a certain distance from the player, wandering the terrain. He'll be cold if he goes out of that distance and then brought back in. So that means that pretty much we should always have a merchant walking around the woods within a certain range that we can find them anyway. Although it might like take a second to find them, because we're not going to spawn them directly on the player. Alright, so looks like we've got our basics set up. Let's see if we can watch this guy walk around when we spawn in. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the changes. I'm going to disable him and put this in our creature register. And then the last thing you need to do if you're following along or doing something similar is you need to go ahead and enable the spawning of this guy. Alright, so we only want to spawn one at a time. Our spawn interval is immediately. We want him in the scene absolutely immediately. We have spawn conditions. He needs to be within 100 units of the main camera. And there's his spawn point as wood. Now, If we don't want to spawn them on wood, which is a tag, we can select a name or an object. But in this case, I'm actually going to spawn him around the player. And I'm going to spawn at a distance around the player. This way, I'll have to go walk over to him to test the interaction, but I won't have to search for him. He should be close enough that we can find him. All right, so we've got the recycle pool enabled on. We've got the max items. We're spawning on the player and in a certain range of 16 units. And also, it has to also be in range of the camera, which obviously it will be if it's in range of the character. So that takes care of that. We're ready to go on there. There's going to be there's going to be lizard guys walking around, so let's go ahead and turn them off as well so they don't kill us while we're trying to test the merchant. And I'll leave the doe and the stag going. Alright, we're ready to test. Let's, we also need to turn that mask image thing back on. Here we go. Okay, now we're ready to test. Let's do it. Come on. Load her up and take a look. Alright, we can see our herd of deer and the stag. They're hanging out, they're doing their thing. That's their behavior. I wasn't able to go over too much in our live stream yet, but the way it works is the stag is a leader and the doe follow him. So they'll wander the terrain like that. But again, if the player gets within a certain range of the stag, then they'll run. See? So that's how that works. Also, if I do enough damage to them, they'll run. I have this new anti-aliasing and I really don't like it. I've been testing it the last couple nights. Let me just friggin' turn this down because it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's distracting. Here. It's the new Unity post-process stack, but anti-aliasing isn't that good. But I'm using it for screen space reflection now. We have that, so that's kind of sweet. Because we had the overhead. There he is. There's Merchant. I see him. Let's go check him out. Okay, he's walking. He's doing his thing. All right. See what happened? And he stopped. There he is. See, so he stopped when I got close. Let me get out of range so we can see how this works. See? Now he's gonna do his thing. He's got dreadlocks. I really like dreadlocks. I used to have dreadlocks. Okay, so let's wait for him to get over here, and then I'm going to walk over there. He's in this stupid bush. Here we go. Nice. See? So he's hanging out, and he's waiting for us to do some stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll click on him. There's the store window. Booyah. I think I have a little money to spend, too, maybe. I don't know. Oh, I got to sell a lot of stuff, actually. Because I've been killing a lot of creatures and my inventory's full. Let's sell off this leather. Yep, 180 gold. Booyah! Nice. I got some cash. Oh, nice. Let's buy a holiday tree. 60 gold. Wow, that's salty. Okay. What else? Ooh, there's our pumpkins. I added those for Halloween in October. And now that the holidays are with us, we'll have our Christmas stuff here too, so that's nice. Okay, that's enough stuff to buy. I really only just wanted to test my merchant. But while we're here, let's go ahead and, I mean, we might as well, let's just put a Christmas tree down. Is that a good spot? No? Looks like we had a spot for a second. You need a flat spot. It's like way too, the terrain is like way too crazy. Alright. I would have to flatten out. See, I've only used the Christmas tree in my house. Build a house that has a nice flat spot, you know? Oh, what do we got there? Keeps flashing at me. There it is. Alright. Okay, so if you didn't know, we do have some holiday items live in Astral Terra right now. There's the Christmas tree, or holiday tree, winter solstice, whatever you want to call it. And we also have wreaths, and then some candy canes, and a couple other random stuff you can put in your house. If you're new to the Astral Terra, you're not familiar with the project, it's a smooth voxel, procedurally generated game. And it has building elements, and it's all smooth voxels, so you can destroy the environment and do all this other fun stuff. I'm just kind of laying some items down right now. But if I wanted to now, I could go grab my Christmas tree and put it on that floor that I created. So we're also testing the new screen space reflection stuff, and there's a couple of little things that we're working on before we do our push, but we're real close to making the next update. And of course, the next update does have the new AI in it. So that's the building block system. And let's see here, the screen space reflection. So like I say, I'm kind of tweaking it out, but you can see it is starting to reflect now on the tiles there, which is nice. Let me back it up here. Okay, it's kind of hard to see. So you can see some reflections happening there, and also it's happening on the gold over there. In Astral Terra, you can use cubes and stuff to build, in different shapes to build with, but you can also use the voxel tools. So here, I'll show you. I'm going to create some gold here. And you can also destroy the terrain if you want. Everything is editable in real time. See, it works kind of like clay. If you dig far enough, you'll get water. There it is. There's a caves major actually update from last month. Included our new cave system. So the cave system is super complex networked caves, which are really sweet, and that's where you find all of the rare ores and that kind of stuff, you know, gold, silver to mine. Because what we've done is we've made it so that you can use the voxel materials to create with. There's no limit on using stuff like gold, but you don't actually have gold to craft with. If you need, like, if you want to craft something that requires gold, then you actually need to find gold ore, and you can't just mine like the gold that you put down. This is just building material, basically. You know, this is just to shape the world or whatever. But yeah, so that's how the game works. Ice Creature Control is the new AI system we've been integrating. And it's a real nice system. I was saying earlier, it has its bugs and little workarounds, but the optimizations and the possibilities have been expanded upon greatly for Astral Terra. So we're really excited about it, and I think you guys will like it as well. And one of the really big benefits you guys are going to see now is that you'll always see mobs. You pretty much, there'll always be stuff in the environment. Right now you're not seeing mobs because I turned them all off while we were testing the merchant. But so all you're seeing right now is walking around is that merchant and the stag. But there's a bunch of new enemies, and when I enable them all, there's stuff everywhere. So it's real nice, and we look forward to pushing out. We'll probably go ahead and push it out next week, early next week. So anyway, my name's Chris Whiteman from Sensor Interactive. I appreciate you joining the live stream to see how we're working our AI system. The game is Astral Terra. It's on Steam Early Access. Go check it out and have fun. Good night and enjoy your week.